Do you pay attention to a lot of that stuff, like football and college and all that?
Yeah, yeah,
College
I'm
athletics.
yeah, it's too much in my blood where I did it for 21 years, and I still have a lot of friends that are involved in college at many different levels, and I've got a lot of friends of mine that coach in the SEC. I've got a good friend of mine that coaches at Tennessee. I've got another, one of my best friends coaches at Georgia athletics, and so I'm always hearing the updates on what's happening with name, image, and likeness deals, what's happening with revenue sharing, what's happening with all that stuff. Two things, you've heard me say this, there's two things that you'll never be able to escape. You'll never be able to escape your health, and you'll never be able to escape your finances. The Pac-12 has a ironclad contract with the Rose Bowl. Not one Pac-12 team went to the Rose Bowl this year, but they got the revenue sharing from that Rose Bowl because it's linked to the Pac-12. So both Washington State and Oregon State both got $50 million each from the Rose Bowl.
Who are you? For the people that don't know, what do you do?
Currently, I teach personal finance and wealth management here at Tigard High School. This is my 14th year in education as a teacher. And prior, I've kind of had a little bit of a back and forth um, career where I started off as a collegiate athletic coach. Spent a couple years as a strength and conditioning coach at doing that at the Division I level, and I tailored that into moving in towards college coaching, women's athletics, women's volleyball. And I coached at University of Alabama, coached at Eastern Washington University, coached at University of Portland, and did that for a number of years. Got left that profession, started going into teaching, and I taught for a number of years. Had an opportunity to go back in, and so I coached again for about another 12 years. And then after that run, I went back into education. And so decided not to pursue the college coaching route anymore because you are very transient. Every 2 or 3, 4 years, you're moving to a different college. The coaching carousel is pretty active as you're trying to move your way up the ranks. So it was best for me and my family not to pursue that path any longer and kind of have a more of a stable life.
So you don't get to pick where you go?
No, no, they're all jobs, right? So you're applying for this job, you're applying for that job, or you have an athletic director that comes in and wants to hire their own coaching staff, which is pretty typical because most athletic directors they get their next job based on two things: how much money they fundraise and bring into the athletic department, and who they hire, right? So, and then if they hire well because this coach now has won conference championships and they were able to bring in money, now they're able to go to a bigger school where they get paid more and they have more amenities. And the coaches are doing the same thing. Hey, I come here, I work really hard for little pay and little resources, but I outperform. Then I can move from that job into another job where I get paid more and have more amenities, have more resources.
What about like books? Are you into books? Do you read?
Uh,
Have you
I,
read through your life or?
yeah, I love reading books about like information. All right, how does the body systems work in terms of like strength and conditioning? Different ways and to get our bodies to move faster or quicker or stronger. Right. I would like to read books about finance and how to tweak the system. How to maneuver to leverage to our advantage legally. It's funny because I did not read a whole lot in high school. It was kind of like, yeah, that's not happening. Uh, I did. I was about 19 when I really started getting into the strength and conditioning world, and started reading books on periodization of training and how to train and what the systems are. Starting off with an anatomical adaptation phase, and then moving into a hypertrophy phase, and then moving into a muscular strength phase, and then moving that into to a force output conversion phase.
Was that for yourself or for your teams that you were coaching?
That was for me. I was a collegiate athlete. I played volleyball at Santa Barbara. So I really did a deep dive into the strength and conditioning world, and I got different certifications. I have my CSCS, which is your Certified Strength Conditioning Specialist. I also had my CSCS Certified Personal Trainer certification. So I was a personal trainer. Maybe about 6 months I did that at a fitness club, but I really got myself into the college world, which is how I got my foot in the door. Because at the time when I started coaching college athletics, it was very, very competitive to get in. It was very competitive. So you had to have something that the next candidate didn't have. Well, I came in with this background of like I can run our strength conditioning program. And for a lot of programs, that was really attractive because that was the last thing they wanted to deal with. It was probably around 2000, the year 2000, where I was at this crossroads where I could coach and just be a volleyball coach, or I could coach and be a strength and conditioning coach. But I had to pick because no longer could I do both. And at the time, it was like, programs were going through cuts, and it was like, hey, the first thing we're going to cut is the strength conditioning coach. So I was like, okay, well, I'll stick with coaching. And so I just became a women's volleyball coach, and I did that for a number of years. And then, like I said, I left the profession, went back, got my master's in education.
Back to college.
Yeah, went back to school. Got my master's degree.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I was 28 when I went back to school to get my master's degree.
To be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
What helped you make that switch?
Well, I actually went back to get my master's degree because at the time it was I still wanted to pursue coaching,
mm-hmm.
but I needed to have something to fall back on.
I kind of want to go back to I guess just that whole period after high school, you went through college and all that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, is there anything you'd change? And if there was, is there any advice you'd give yourself?
One of them, I wish somebody had really sat me down and said, hey, you know what, you need to start really investing much earlier in your life. I didn't really start getting into investing until I was like 27, 28, in terms of really, kind of thinking about my long-term,
thinking about your future.
Yeah, and I had the money, I had the opportunity when I was 21, 22. I just didn't do it. My parents didn't talk to me about, hey, this needs to be a priority. I don't care if it's $50 a month, but this has got to be a priority. Don't fumble the ball here. And the other thing too is, you show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And the friends I had, good people. I mean, nothing wrong with them, but it was a little bit of this one-up competition. Like, okay, I just bought this sweatshirt, this designer outfit, or I bought this car, or I bought this, or I'm going on, and it was like, so what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you got to do this too. Come on, man, let's go. So you kind of got peer pressured a little bit to kind of spend, to kind of to keep up with the Joneses.
And you think that's true for all friend groups and all groups of people?
No, I think it's a little bit less now, but I still think it exists. And I see it existing. I see people out there trying to, I want to show you what I have. And it's like, okay, well, if somebody values you based on what you have, they're probably not your friend. Friend doesn't care what you drive. I don't care if you drive a beat up car. I don't care if you drive a brand new car. I don't really care. You're my friend because you're my friend, not because of the car you have.
Would you think that applies to family and the influence friends have because they're close to you, and family's close to you? So what do they have?
That might be one of the toughest things to do. That might be one of the most challenging things to do, is to step away from family, because family is supposed to have your back. They're supposed to be supportive, right? And there's a time and place for family to step in and say, hey, you know what? I've been down that road. There's a big pothole down that road. If you keep going down, you're going to end up in it. Then there's a difference between the family that is that doesn't give you that information, that doesn't give you the guidance, that is just like, like, hey, I'm not going to go to college, I'm going to go to a trade. Okay, well, that's great, good for you. Yes, I'm supportive of that. You know what? I decided I don't want to go to the trades. I think I want to go to college. Okay, that's great too. Yeah.
Because they don't know.
Well, they're just because there's whatever you do, they're going to support. It doesn't mean they can't be supportive, but at the same time, it's like just be authentic. I mean, have an opinion.
Being your student.
Yeah.
I've been your student for 3 years.
Yeah.
I've been around you a lot.
Yeah.
I could tell you're very genuine.
Oh.
When you speak, you're you. And I think that's a big thing. It's important. Where does that come from?
I live by this fact. People don't care what you know until they know you care. And so if you're not authentic and you're not genuine, then it doesn't matter what you know, because people don't,
they're not going to listen to you.
They're not going to listen. So I care about kids, and I care about the future. I care about them knowing the information. What they do with that information, that's on them. And whatever, because for some people it's different, right? I mean, it's like, for some people, I just want to be off the grid. I don't need a ton of money. I don't need it. Well, that's fine. I mean, that's okay, because that's what they don't, but as long as they know the information, right? So I'm very passionate about giving the information that they need, and then having them process it, digest it, reflect on it, and then see where it fits for them so they can make the best decision. You can always make great decisions when you have all the information, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like it comes from the way I was brought up. Both my biological dad and my stepdad were both, just very not tolerant at all of any fibs or lies, because it was always, if you were honest, the punishment would be severely less than it would be if you were trying to maneuver your way through. Yeah. So just take your medicine and move on. And so I kind of took that, and the way I just kind of wrap my head around it is just be authentic and genuine as possible. Mm-hmm. At all the time. That if you never lie, you never have to remember. I mean, you don't have to, because you don't have to remember what you said to somebody. All you have to do is know the truth, and that's, it's one story, one time.
What's something going on in the world right now that my generation needs to be thinking about, needs to be aware of, concerned about, we should know about?
I think the biggest thing is your ability to be adaptable and to be a critical thinker, adaptable as technology is advancing, as it is increasing. There will be AI that will take over jobs. And as that happens, new jobs will also, jobs that we don't even know right now. Like you and I can't brainstorm a new career that's going to come up. And so it's really having the skill of learning, of how to learn. How do I learn something quickly, retain it, and then be able to execute it? How do I have great critical thinking skills? And how can I be adaptable? Because in this fast moving world, you might have a career that might be great for 10 to 15 years, and then all of a sudden it kind of disappears, or hey, we had, there's 100,000 people with this career. We don't need 100,000 people anymore. We only need 20,000 people doing it. Mm-hmm. So now the job world becomes very competitive in that little segment.
Yeah, but so many people focus on one particular aspect, mm-hmm. that maybe they put too many eggs in one basket.
Right.
It's like, oh, my job's gone. The hell do I do? Mm-hmm. So how do you become adaptable? Because sometimes it's hard to prepare for.
Yeah, well, I think it's, how do I take one set of skills and then apply it to another set of skills? And then how do I take that set of skills and then move it over to another set of skills?
You have mentioned a side business.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it before.
Mhm.
Is there anything you could share about that?
Yeah, so I have a consulting business that I do now, and I run it through U.S. Sports Nike. And so I'm what's called a cluster coach, and so I do different sports camps in the summertime. I've really just kind of narrowed it down to just a 3 weeks. They want me to do more like 4 to 5, even 6 weeks but I don't want to do that. So I got camps in Utah, I got camps in San Diego that I do, that I go and I host. I do coaches clinics down there for coaches. I work with athletic directors. I work with different coaches on putting together team morale, team culture, putting together systems in place, SOPs. And I run sports camps. I run volleyball camps in the summertime.
Really?
Yeah.
Through what? Like where?
I run one at Oceanside High School in San Diego. I run one at Murray High School in Salt Lake and um, high school there. And I do just a few other little kind of ones around here locally. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a great way to just make a little bit of money, but more like just to stay connected. Just stay connected and and give back. Yeah, I'm a big believer in cut down a tree, cut it down. If you need it, cut it down. But I'm also a big believer then go replant one. Don't just take to take. Take and replant. Give back. Let the circle be completed.
Do you have any advice for me?
Just be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Invest early. Invest in yourself. The first place to invest is yourself. Next place to invest is an emergency fund. The next place to invest is long-term and your long-term retirement. So I mean, you can never stop investing in yourself. Be a lifelong learner. Constantly learn. And if you're in your young years, if you take and take and take, there's no problem with that. Because there's gonna be a time in your life where you're gonna take a whole lot more than you can give because you're not in a position where you can give. But at some point down the road, whenever that is, maybe you're 35, maybe you're 40, maybe it's 50, maybe you can't give really anything back to your 55 or 60. But at some point in your life, you're going to be able to give back, and when you do, just put yourself in a situation where you can give back and enjoy life because you only get one chance at this. You only get one chance. So appreciate every day and be thankful.
Michael King.
All right. Hey, thank you.
Thank you again.